Hello all. So today I'm here with one more video. That is, I like to show you one of my games, which I find it a good game from my end. I feel it's a good game from my end. Okay. So I just played this game in second ICA Federated Rapid Chess Tournament on 24th July 2022. So that is yesterday. And this is the penultimate round game in which I faced one of the best players in Karnataka. His name is Santosh Kashyap. Okay, so he's quite strong player, and I felt if I just normally I play first move e4, so I just wanted to try something different on the move. I mean round eight, so that's why I started with one d4, and his usual response is knight f6. And then I wanted to play, as I already told you, I wanted to play something different. So I played second move knight c3 and d5. This is the best move actually. So d5 is one of the good moves. And here bishop g5 I played, and he responded with knight bd7. In this position, I just wanted to go ahead with I want to have one pawn on e4. I just want to maintain a pawn on e4. That's why I played pawn f3. This kind of strategy is normally a slow development from white's point of view, because the pawn on f3 is taking away the usual knight square. That is, usually one will play knight f3. So in this position, it is bit slow actually. Like development is really slow. So that's why black should act really actively for this response. Okay. But anyway, my opponent played pawn h6. This is the theory: bishop h4, then e6. After this, I played pawn e4. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Then he played bishop to e7. Here I felt there is a tactics like knight into e4 is coming up, so that I thought I just wanted to not to give any tactical opportunity for my opponent. So that's why I played bishop to g3. I just wanted to get rid of this knight into e4 tactical shot. So I played bishop g3. Then, in my opinion, he has to play something like castling or something, but directly castling may not be so great, because knight b5 and c7 will be under fire. So that's why he played a6. Anyway, I'm fine. Because my opinion, I mean to say, okay, my opinion is fine. A6 is also fine. But after knight f3, he played c5. This is what I feel is a little worse move, because this move is not contributing for any development. That's why, in my opinion, he should have played Calvin. I'm not so sure, but I'm just showing you this game because I like this game. Actually, the way I played the later part of the game, I really liked it. So that's why I wanted to share this knowledge with you. I mean to say, you can get some knowledge and some idea about, so you can play something differently in some of the games. Okay. So c5. After c5, usual response is d5. So e takes d5 and e takes d5. In this position, I felt okay. I think I am getting d6. So I was really happy if I get d6 or something. So my opponent tried to play something like knight h5 here. Actually, he played knight h5. He wanted to double my pawns by capturing on g3. Here, if I play something like defense, probably say for example bishop f2 or something, my opponent can just let me show you that move. Yeah, bishop f2. Then he can play bishop to d6 and create a blockade of my pawn, and fine, I may not have any advantage or something. Probably my opponent can take over the initiative. After that, maybe he can go for castling, and so many moves will come up. So that's why I do want to get any such opportunity for my opponent. So I just went ahead with pawn d6. So here, of course, when he can't just move the bishop away, he can move, no problem. But maybe that will not change the assessment, I guess so. That is a different story, but let me just show you the game, the way I played, and how game continued. I i was really impressed with my play actually. I was remembering Meheltal and Jabo Badur when playing this game. Okay, so after that he captured knight into g3, then I have to capture the knight, otherwise if I capture the bishop, he will capture. Oh sorry, first he can play queen into e7 check, followed by knight into h1, right? So that's why I must capture back the knight first. In this position, so bishop f6 is almost forced in my opinion. Yeah, bishop f6 forced. Otherwise, uh, bishop g5 or bishop f6, these two are the options, right? Maybe bishop f6 is a normal continuation, which my opponent actually he played. Then, if I don't play something energetically now, I will be definitely worse for sure in this position, because if my opponent is able to castle, and if he is able to remove this knight away and bring this bishop out on c8, that knight on d7 and bishop on c8, if those pieces comes out, I will definitely have a disadvantage in this position. That's why I wanted to spoil my opponent's castling chance, so I played queen e2. So here, yeah, of course, the only move is king f8. Then I felt, I thought for some time, and then played, okay, let me go ahead with the triple. Because when I'm not developing bishop on f1, I should consider something like queenside castling. Okay, so here I can't do any kingside castling because this kingside is already open with h into g3, and my bishop on f1 is also not developed. So that's why I went with. Here, I was not worried about bishop takes c3 because I have seen many games in which one player will allow like this, and they will just still continue with the advantage, that is dynamic advantage which white is having. Okay, so black is having a kind of statically very strong pawn structure. My pawn structure is completely bad here. Okay, my opponent played bishop into c3. After this, even more, it's even more bad. Everywhere isolated pawns, right? A pawn is isolated. I'll put in red mark. C2 and C3 pawns are definitely isolated, even though they are connected with the D6 pawn, but they are far away from each other. So that's why all pawns are isolated pawns. When I see this game, I remember one particular game which Smyslow versus Botvinnik. In one of the videos, I will explain you that game also. The topic name was two bishops. So Botvinnik was playing black, and his pawn structure was completely worse like this. And Smyslow uh, gave Botvinnik an opportunity to have two bishops advantage. So later, Botvinnik managed to win the game. That game I'll show you in one of the videos. Okay, for sure. In this, my pawn structure is completely weak. If you remove all the pieces from the board, let's say if you remove the rooks, queen, bishops, knights, everything except king, of course. Okay, then it will be definitely better for black. The same explanation I have read in one of the books uh, from Max Yu, I guess so, Middle Game by Max Yu. Okay, in that Max Yu gave the same comment. If you remove all the pieces away from that bottom, okay, Smith also bottom game I'm speaking about. Okay, if you remove all the pieces from that, game, if the game is completely transferred into pawn ending, definitely Smith was white. Okay, white was winning. So in this also same thing. If you remove all the pieces out, if all the pieces get exchanged, definitely black will win the game. So in this position, I have to play energetic chess. I had to play energetic chess, of course. So here my opponent played queen f6, and I should bring my pieces into play very fast. So here I played rook h4. The idea is to take the rook to f4. I'm not worried about c3 pawn as of now because definitely my opponent cannot capture on c3 basically. He can capture, but I can play queen e7 check, king g8, queen e8 check, king h7, queen into f7. I can win back the pawn followed by bishop d3 is also there. So I can do that. But my opponent played pawn g5 in this position. And I just moved the rook to e4. This is called rook lift actually. Rook h4 followed by rook g4, f4 or e4 somewhere. You know, this is called rook lift. Same rook lift idea is in one of the positions of isolated pawn. We can see like rook from a1 to a3 to g3 or h3, rook from d1 to d3 to g3 or h3 or f3, somewhere like that. Even from rook f1 to f3 or g3, those ideas are called rook lift. Even I can create video on that also sometime. Okay. So after rook e4, my opponent played king g7. So here, because he had to get the rook out, so he played king g7, and I just moved my rook to e7. Of course, whenever you are able to get the rook to 7th rank, it's a juicy position for the rook, right? So that's why I did. Here, my opponent cannot move the knight away because of d7. I'm happy to win 2 minute pieces for rook. I don't mind. If I'm able to get slightly better position, I was happy to go for that position. So not only me, every player, if you are able to get a good position, a kind of winning position, or maybe slightly better position, or maybe plus minus position if you are playing white, minus plus position if you are playing black. If you are able to get those positions, you should always go for it, in my opinion, because I heard this from strong players actually. Like when I was looking for the games where I can learn something from strong players like Karakin, Anand, Karpo, Kasparov, Carlson, of course. Okay, when I was seeing the games, annotated games of these players in Megabase, then the explanation from these players was really helpful. Of course, it is for everyone. So I suggest you guys can go through the annotated games of top players, even all grandmasters, of course, where they will explain their ideas, all those things in the game. So it will be really helpful for everyone. So based on that, I was looking for even slightly better position in this. Of course, I have to play aggressive chess here, but otherwise, due to my pawn structure, I'll be lost if I go to end game. But um, I went for this position because I can use the open lines created by pawn exchanges. Like pawn went from h file to g file. I got h open line. Pawn went from okay. Here I'm not getting any advantage from b pawn to c, but I'm having this d open line. So something like that. So open lines will give you. Sorry, bad pawn structure. If you have, they will give some open lines for your pieces to get into the game. Okay, here after rook e7, my opponent maybe he wanted to remove the knight, so he played rook to d8. And here I wanted to stop him from moving the knight away, so I played queen c4 idea. If you move the knight away, I can try to win the pawn. Sorry, okay. If you move the knight away, I can try to win the pawn on c5. Okay, so he played b5. In this position, I got a tempo. It's very important to gain a tempo in attacking positions. Queen e4. Got a tempo to attack the rook. Maybe I may capture, I may not capture that rook. It's depending upon how things will go on. But here my main aim is to get the bishop to d3 and catch the h7 square. This was the main plan. Of course, attacking the rook is also an added advantage for me. So he played rook b8. Of course, he has to save the rook, right? Otherwise, it will be very. He may be rook down. Bishop d3, queen h7 is the threat, and he played bishop b7. and I played queen h7, king f8, and can you spot one of the ideas which you can use in this question? And fine, you can think for some time, for a few seconds. You can pause the video and think for some time, and then you can continue. Okay, maybe you got the idea. Here, rook f1 is the move which I played. Idea, I want to get all the major pieces into play because open line. I'm using open line, right? I'm using open lines, in fact. Okay. So after that, my opponent played queen to g7. I should not exchange queens. As I already told you, exchange of pieces will be beneficial for the player who is a very good pawn structure. So I played queen f5 with tempo again, attacking the knight. I mean, I should put right for that. Yeah. And he played bishop c8 back, and I just wanted to open the line to attack the f7 pawn. I played knight to d2. Here, my opponent played something. Maybe he moved the knight or he moved f1. I'm not so sure, but here he lost on time. I really like the way I played the game after black's c5. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So thank you so much and see you in next video. Bye.